Good morning, Shabbat Shalom. I want to say Mazel Tov to Layla and her family as well. I was actually able to hear a fair amount of it. I was here for Layla leading us in Shacharit. Then I went out to teach yoga, as you can clearly see. Um, I honestly do yoga just as effectively in this as anything else, which is not at all. Uh, we do a little teaching before yoga, and that's what I was doing. I came back. I could hear Layla with the Haftorah, but I didn't want to interrupt. But it was unsurprisingly beautiful. And as I mentioned to Layla and her family on Thursday, you've all just been such a wonderful part of Adat Shalom, and very grateful to be able to be here today. Want to welcome Rabbi Josh Foster as well, who he was my student at Hillel when he was in middle school, and I take precisely zero credit for his success, but it, again, not surprising to me whatsoever. So very glad to have you. I've been a rabbi for a long time, and as you can imagine, I have gotten a lot of weird letters, phone calls, emails, texts over the years. I got one a number of years ago, a letter from someone that he was being held hostage by the Kohanim. He was being held hostage by the priesthood in his basement. And could I ransom him? And I'm actually part of the lineage of the Kohanim myself. And I'm like, well, that didn't come up at the last meeting. I don't remember that. But I was thinking is like, if you can write one letter to have someone rescue you from like a hostage situation, it ain't me. So I turned it over to the police. I had someone write on a bunch of leaves, and I don't mean leaves of paper. I mean like leaves off a tree in teeny print, thousands of times on different leaves, repent. If you've ever gotten a repent letter written on leaves, it's not a great experience. Called the police. I got one, it was a 75-page tract on how the aliens were coming for the Jews. But he didn't put the date. Some of it was just ugly. Like someone actually, they pasted a $50 bill on a piece of paper and then had this really ugly anti-Semitic thing. I mean, page after page. And it said, I bet you really want that 50, don't you? I'm like, well, a little. But this was when there were a lot of letters being sent with anthrax. So I called the police and I actually called back to them. I said, can I at least have the first page? But the funniest call I got, and it wasn't even that long ago, guy calls me and he says, he was just in Jordan and he was in a cave and he stumbled on two stone tablets with funny writing on them. He thinks they might be Hebrew. Two tablets with Hebrew writing and stone in the Middle East. Does this sound like anything familiar? So I said, why are you calling me? He said, well, you know, I found them. I'm going to sell them to you, you know. And I said, that's really nice of you. But, you know, the Jordanians, they really have a very solid archaeological team. They handle things really well. Why don't you just call the Jordanians? Like, no. It's just between you and me. And so they're in my office. I mean, I really did. Yeah, the price was pretty reasonable. I used that $50 from the. But I was just fascinated by this guy who wanted to sell me the 10 Commandments. But then you start thinking about, well, Maybe they are. Maybe Indiana Jones didn't find them. No one knows where they are. No one knows what happened to them. And the reason I'm bringing this up particularly today is that this is part of what our Torah portion is about. It says, Elu Pikudei HaMishkan, Mishkan HaEdut. These are the records of the tabernacle of witnessing. And that's understood to mean the tabernacle that held the 10 commandments. And the 10 commandments, they're given on Mount Sinai. They were the holiest objects in the entire Jewish world. And they're put in this special a special box, and they're carried through the wilderness. They're brought into the first temple, and the first temple is destroyed. And we never find out again what happens to the 10 commandments. They're never at all in the second temple that was rebuilt after the first. By the 6th century BCE, nobody knows where the actual tablets of the 10 commandments are. There have been rumors during the Middle Ages you could buy a piece of the 10 commandments. There was a big market on selling religious items. They had so many fragments of the 10 commandments for sale that it would fill this entire sanctuary. The actual tablets of the 10 commandments, according to the description, they're pretty small. They're about this big each, because they got to fit in the box about this big. And also, Moses is 80 years old when he has to bring them down from the mountain. You know how old 80 was back then? 80. Right? Like, I'm sure he worked out. If you see the movies, he's pretty, but still, you're not going to give these gigantic things to an 80-year-old guy walking down the mountain. They're gone. The fragments of them from the first one were gone. They are absolutely gone. And I am going to suggest that it doesn't matter at all. Should I be finishing soon? Is that? Oh, okay. I just got a little bit. I thought you was my signal, like, wrap it up, dude. That's enough. The rest of you are like, it doesn't matter. Our enemies have thought that if they could destroy our stuff, that they could destroy us. Right? That's the reason you destroy a temple. That's the reason why you desecrate objects. It's why people desecrate cemeteries, Jewish cemeteries through Europe and some in America. You break the headstones because you think you're going to break the people. You destroy the temple to show that your God is not as strong as others. And so we had 2 holy temples in Jerusalem. Those 2 were destroyed, but according to our tradition, the holy temple actually still exists. It's the one in heaven. And in the beginning of the Talmud, it talks about how the Kohanim in heaven are still serving the Beit HaMikdash. Now, did they mean this literally? I'm not sure. I'm going to take this largely as how we as a people have survived, is that the Beit HaMikdash, the temples, the 10 commandments are about our mind, our soul, and our body. The temples on earth were like the body. Physical things die, they can be destroyed, but the soul is eternal. And that's the part that our enemies have never understood. You can exile us from our land, you can destroy our temple, you can murder some of us, but you can't stop who we are in terms of our soul, in terms of our eternal connections. So it doesn't matter what happened to the tablet. Nebuchadnezzar probably took them back with him to Babylonia and used them as a footstool. But his culture is gone. And the culture of all our enemies, they're not what they were. The culture of our friends, though, continue in very powerful ways. And we have been blessed with good friends in the world. And we shouldn't feel completely alone. It has been a very tough time, but we have wonderful and powerful friends in the world that I am very grateful for. And I don't mean powerful just in terms of like military or financially. I mean powerful in terms of their neshama, in terms of their soul. Those who have embraced us tend to do well, and those who reject us tend to not do as well, because it's not about us. It's about the values that were in those 10 commandments. Every human being is of ultimate value. Don't murder. Don't take what isn't yours. Appreciate what is yours. Take a day where you finally believe the world is perfect, knowing that you're going back into the mess again. There's nothing special about the Jewish people. Right? We're a people like every other people. But I think what is powerful is that we try to embrace those values that were written on those 2 tablets. And there are so many other people who do as well. And I want to acknowledge that and to be grateful for it. And just know that we're not alone here, that we're all siblings in spirit. We're all children of God in spirit. The tablets are gone. The temple is gone, and it doesn't matter. What matters is that we're here together, that we are here for each other, and that is the thing that can never be taken away. Shabbat shalom.